What's up YouTube? It's No More Out For, reviewer of guns, gear, outdoor videos, anything that has to do with survival or self-sufficiency. Out here in the woods today for you in a little bit of winter weather. And what I'm going to be doing today is a survival video. It's going to be, was my intention anyway, to come out and build a lean-to shelter, but didn't really find a good area to build that. Based on the pine tree boughs that I have here, they're just too thin. Such is a survival situation. You can't plan on being able to build just one shelter. You need to be able to build multiple shelters. So the next shelter that I'm going to build, because of the debris available, is going to be a debris A-frame. So this is the area that I picked for the shelter. Really wasn't looking for too much. Once I decided that I wasn't going to build a lean-to because the pine trees were just not suitable for that, I wanted a little bit of an open area so I'd be able to collect debris, plenty of that around here, so I won't have an issue. The wind is coming from this direction. It's blowing towards me, so I'm going to face the back of my shelter in that direction. The front opening will be facing this way. The fire will be right in the middle there. And this may allow for, if Bone Hunter decides to ever come out, he's on vacation right now, lucky bastard. If he ever decides to come out here, he'll be able to build a shelter maybe over here. Not really my problem though for today. So this is the support piece that I chose. Obviously it's a little bit too long, but I liked it because it's got a little bit of a curvature to it. That will help with stacking the pieces of wood. I'm going to cut it so that it's about to here probably, I'm thinking. A little bit higher propped up obviously though. And if I cut it right, I may be able to get one of the pieces to use as the support for the A. So I'm going to do that now. You do want this piece to be a little bit longer than you are. A little bit longer than you are tall, so that you can sleep completely laid down in it. Obviously, if you have gear that you want to store in there, you'll need to make it larger. I've collected my support frame now, and I'm going to cut it again. We'll be able to take advantage of where the branches were. We can use that as basically like a support joint for the actual support frame. I just got to figure out what length I want the opening to be right now. So I've got my two support sticks here. As you can see, the pine actually works pretty well together because the branches all come out around the same circumference of the tree, at least this particular pine anyway, and it makes it very easy to support these, and I'll show you when I tie it up here in a second. No particular knot I'm going to use here, as I am not a knot master. No pun intended there. Oh, that was corny. But yeah, just want to situate it correctly here, make sure it's in the right spot. I actually like to tie it when it's set up because it's a real pain in the ass to go through tying this when you have it laid on the ground. Then you stick it up and it doesn't work, so I recommend doing it up on the ground how it's going to stand when the shelter's completed. This is the ultimate test for a pair of gloves in my opinion, being able to tie knots in them or tie your shoes. I'll go over these gloves in my comprehensive winter gear system though. Soon to come. Check it out for after the holidays. So I've got the preliminary knot on the two A-frame beams here, and I've laid the main beam down across. Before I actually secure the main beam onto the 2As, what I'm actually going to do is dig in here to fortify where this is going to rest, just to strengthen it up a bit. And conveniently I had a little knot there on the knee of the tree that I used, so I won't really have to do too much with that one. And then I will secure that as well. And basically for that, just dig a hole, a slight cavity for the tree to rest in. Okay, so I dug those in secure on the back frame and on the side frame. So what that does for me, whoops, sorry guys, what that does is I can push on this beam that won't go anywhere. It will still slide this way, but it won't extend out and lower the shelter, so I won't have to worry about that. And this, if I pull on it this way, won't go anywhere. So to make sure this doesn't slide, all I now do is secure the top frame to the side A's with more paracord. So I've got it secured here. Again, you know, not the knot master, but this will do plenty. It's not going to slide enough to really cause any problems. And once I start laying the other debris limbs on here, it won't be an issue at all. So that's the end for that part. One thing I wanted to throw in here, before you start to put any of the shelter branches on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shovel. You can use a knife, whatever you have. You could use a branch, and basically just churn up this dirt here. And what that'll do is it'll create airspace, so later on at night, after I put pine needles and things like that, it'll help with insulation. So that's a tip to help stay warm at night. Now again, I'm going to use pine needle along with some other debris that I'm going to put down in there. I know it's muddy right now, but once I cover it with debris and then my sleeping gear, tarp, everything like that, it will really help with insulation, and it won't be muddy at all either once it dries out in there too. So you can kick it up more than I did, but that'll be sufficient for right now. What I'm also going to do here, about halfway down on the support beam, I'm going to secure this one. I started to tie some knots here, but I had to undo it just to make it easier whenever I'm stacking some of these longer beams on the structure. So for the frame pieces, you don't need to go down and cut a whole bunch of trees, live trees, to get stout pieces. These are all good examples of good pieces here. Even if you find them on the ground, just test them for strength. You know, some piece like this here on the top piece, this is not going to be a very good piece. But this piece, even though that it was just in the ground, it's still pretty strong. I can't even snap that. So that's going to be a good piece. Optimally, you want to minimize the cutting you have to do, but in reality, you're never going to find all of the pieces the exact right size out laying around. Well, you might, but it'd take a hell of a lot longer than I have to do this. So as you lay the support frames, you also want to cut off any branches that might poke in and hit you in the head while you're sleeping. If you happen to wake up, or you know, still groggy in the morning, and smack your head off one of these, it's a bad way to start your day. So you can see the main beams of the shelter are pretty much complete. I do need to do a little bit of work in the back, but I can take care of that later. I don't know if I'm going to be able to entirely finish this today. I don't have too much longer before it starts getting dark back here. But what I'm going to do now is, and I collected these as I was going, I'm obviously going to need more, but I'm going to take smaller sticks, not necessarily for load bearing, but to increase the surface area, so when I start to dump debris on top of here, it's not all going to fall through. So I'm going to start putting those on, basically just laying them any which way that you can, crosswise, diagonally, just so you get them to stick. You just want to make sure it's not possible for them to fall into the shelter, and then start to put the debris on. So you can see here I have some debris that's going to increase the surface area to make it easier to pack the leaves onto the shelter. And when I used on this side, I just laid it down. I'm going to make it a little bit more intricate here in a minute. But what I used was some vinage that was up in this tree I just pulled down, and it's this material right here. It's very easy to work with, so if you have to, you can string it in between the branches, but a lot of times you can just rest it on there and that'll be sufficient. On the other side, I did it a little bit differently. I just use a lot of sticks and kind of interweave them. It's no real method to the madness here, just kind of laying it on there, and now I'm going to go get some debris and start piling it on. So I used the tarp to collect debris, you know, pine needles, duff, all that sort of stuff, and now I'm going to layer it on here. If you don't have a tarp or a garbage bag, it can be a little bit more difficult, take a little bit more time, but you can still get it done. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. Now some of it's going to fall through. If I had a second tarp, I would put it underneath, but since I don't, I'll just have to pull it out if whatever falls through until I get a good base layer on, and then just reapply it afterwards. It's okay if you get sticks in the debris. It's just going to add to the top of the roof anyway, so same thing with dirt. You can just dump it on, but I don't really recommend doing that until you have a strong base layer. If you don't have a rake, use a branch. So I'm just about finished with the left side base layer. Haven't even started the right side yet. And again, this is just a base layer. You can see not even fully complete yet. Still some openings. I need to thicken it down here at the bottom so that when I place the second and third layers up here on the top, it doesn't roll down. And I will have to complete this closure here. Hopefully I will be able to finish it today. I am running out of daylight here. It gets dark pretty quick. But what I'm going to do is just work on getting a good base layer down on this side, and then I am going to come over here and work on that. Again, I'm not staying here for the night, but you can see on the inside it's already starting to shape up pretty nice. All I'll have to do is maybe go in there and adjust some things, collect the debris that's fallen in, put it back on top. So I've got my base layer complete here, and I realize this is going to have to be a two-part series because I am running out of daylight here. But one thing I want to say is this is a very large A-frame shelter. In a real survival situation, you wouldn't have to build one this big, but I plan on coming back to this location, obviously, in the near future, probably with my dog and gear. So I need the space, and also it's just fun to see how big of a structure you can build. So let me show you exactly what I did on the insulation. So again, for the insulation, you start up from the bottom, work your way up to the top, finally along the ridge, the top of the shelter down to the base. And once you've done that, you can see I've got about 6 to 10 inches. I'll probably have to double that with my second and third layer on there to be really warm. Again, insulation is like firewood and foreplay. You can never have too much of it. So, next thing you want to do though, after you put the base on, and I still have to do this, but for the most part it's pretty much taken care of, just go through and look for any major openings. There really aren't any, just a few smaller ones, but you cover those up and you'll be in good shape. So guys, that was part 1 on my A-frame shelter video. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, send me a message or check out my blog, nomoreop4.blogspot.com. I do a little bit more in-depth description on there just because it's easier than doing that on YouTube, so check that out. Basically what the game plan is from here is to come back in a couple of days, add some more insulation, and then work on the campsite. I will do a video part 2 on that, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions or suggestions, something you'd like to see, definitely hit me up. I'm always trying to deliver what people want to see, so just send me a message and I'll see if I can get at it. I do apologize, I haven't had as many videos out as I would have liked to in these past couple of weeks. With the holidays, family obligations, and work obligations, I actually just got a promotion. Haven't been able to get out here as much as I would like to, but I promise I've got some good stuff planned for 2012. So, as always, this is No More Op 4. Stay safe. I'm out.